need hearing protection. That's loud stuff. Well, there's a wall. Forgive me for not doing the first few nails on camera. I have never done this in my life, but wow, it makes things easy. That is a powerful, powerful tool. It took me a while. At first I thought it was effective anyway, because for a while the thing was leaking air, but I think it just had to get used. I put some oil in it, and a friend of mine showed me how to put oil in it and lubricate it, and I did that. And after a few dry fires, it started working well and stopped leaking air. So I think that's normal. The seals had to work, be lubricated. Nice tool, very impressive. So I've got the borrowed air compressor, the Harbor Freight generator, and my very own Senko air nailer, air gun, framing nailer. Now I've got to take off the water tank there, or move it from the side, move my flex pipe, move the water tank, and get this wall propped up. So, and I think it's starting to rain. I've got to be careful and make sure I don't leave anything out. So anyway, let me go clear out that corner, make sure there's nothing in the way, start propping this wall up. One problem with working with heartwood pine, stuff is heavy. It's terrible to work with. I just disconnected the rainwater tank. I'm going to take down the rainwater collector, the diversion chamber, so I don't break it while I'm working here. I'm going to completely remove the supports for that, so everything's out of the way. I hope it doesn't rain. That'd be ironic. Alright, now I've got to figure out how to prop that up. That's going to take some manipulating with some blocks and shims to get that where I want it. So I'll be back in a few minutes. Alright, I've got this propped up on 2 2x4s for now. It's not high off the ground on this side at all, which is good for installation purposes. That's fine. Now up here it's going to be exactly 2 foot lower than the roof on the other side. So it's going to match the slope of my tiny house roof, which is 2 foot lower on the back side than the front. So it's going to be the same slope. Now I've got different dimensions I'm working with here. I've got 3/4 inch sheathing on here that I have to take into account for. or that I have to account for, whatever I'm trying to say. So I've got to make sure that this is in 3/4 inches to account for that sheathing. Although the what I'm going to use is probably 1/2 inch plywood, so it probably won't be exactly meshed up when I don't know how big the scraps are from the barnwood. Okay, so that's roughly lined up. Now I have to level it, or plumb it, I guess is how you say it. So I'll be back in a minute. Okay, I just measured, just to be sure I've got my numbers right. I just measured from up the line of the tar paper wraps around. I'm looking at the lines on the tar paper, and it's 87 inches to the mark I'm looking at over here, and 87 inches to the mark I'm looking over there, all the way around to the doorway. And so this is going to line up perfectly where I want it. So I've got the right height on here now. The next step is, like I said, I'm going to make it plumb. I'm going to fire up the generator and the air compressor again and pop in a couple nails, secure that to the house, and then level the thing off. You won't believe this, people. Dead center. Now I wait for the air compressor to fill up, and I'll pop a couple nails in there. Be back in a minute. Almost goofed. I was going to nail that on. I'll never get that off. Remember, this has to be portable and removable. This is a mobile tiny house on wheels. I'm so happy I stopped myself before I nailed it on. That'd be a nightmare. So just a few screws here and there is all that's going to hold it on. We need an angle on me. Okay, that's all that's going to. That's all that's holding that on. It's got to be self-supporting and easy to remove in a hurry if I need to move this house. So that's it right there, guys. That's it. Now I can put my rainwater collection back together. Put the tubing back in place, and I can mount the first flush diverter. No, I gotta wait. I have to do the sheathing first. So it's all temporary for now. But I can get it hooked up at least till to collect rain if it rains today. This is awkward alone. I'm trying to level this off to the right height. A little bit more. I can't see that board. That's just about right there. That's it. Alright. So I won't have too much airflow underneath. Let me show you. I want this off the ground for a reason, to stop rot. And then underneath I'm going to have treated lumber. There's some treated lumber out in the woods that I'm going to salvage for that purpose. There's some piles of it out there. And I'll use that. I'm going to replace, of course, those boards with the treated lumber. This was just temporary to level it off and get it going. But that keeps that from rotting. And then I'm going to put gravel, and the outside will be done with treated wood, a piece of treated lumber across the bottom edge. And then I'll have gravel flooring here, leveled off. So the whole porch, the whole shed and the porch will be all gravel. So I'm gonna get lunch. I'm a little dizzy and lightheaded, so it's time for a break. But that Senko Air framing nailer is a beauty. That is nice to have. It was a good purchase. I'm so happy. I made this go together in minutes, mere minutes. So, lunchtime, and I'll put my first flush diverter back together and see about getting another wall up. I'm marking where the studs go. I've decided to just use the pine wood from the lumberyard job and get this shed done, because I want to have a roof on in a hurry before I put up my water heater, which everybody is now asking me about. I changed my mind and decided to put the roof on first. I hope that's acceptable and wise enough. Understandable. So I'm just cutting these boards, and I'll get the framing nailer going and zap them together. Got one piece left to cut, so I'm going to fire up the generator and get the air compressor rolling so I can get some pressure in the tank. By the time that I'm done cutting this last board, I can start nailing. That's got to warm up a minute. That's a slow air compressor. I gotta wait a bit. Okay, the left end has to come up higher. You can't tell a thing until you start building out here with this uneven ground. You can't see a thing. Now, everything looks crooked because these boards are twisted and warped like mad, but it's just a shed, so it'll be alright. Now over here, we're off. I've got to raise this end up. Over here now, dead on. Really good. So I need to raise this up a little bit right now, see how it looks. Let's see if a 2x4 will do it. Probably not enough. Yeah, it's really sloped ground. Oh, that almost did it. Wow. Surprised. Just a thin wedge of wood will finish that off. Yeah, a little bit thicker. Okay, try this one. Almost. And we're good. Okay. Now, I'll show you something. So notice the slope of the roof. Alright, see how there's a peak? And that's what I'm going to put in the shed here too. And what we did upstairs is we built the low wall, then we built the high wall, and we put the roof on, and then we filled in this piece. Okay? And that's exactly what I'm going to do here. I'm going to fill that in after. Because then we get the angles right and the length of everything just right. And I think it makes for a more solid wall because it's a square 2x4 framed wall. So I'm going to take a break. It's somehow that's hard work. Although I've only got 2 walls up today, but still. This old lumber is heavy, heavy stuff. Now I've also got to think about the front wall because it's only going to be like a half wall, and with the slope in the ground I've got to really figure this out, how I'm going to do this. I know I want it 2 feet higher than the low point on the back wall, so my starting point on this is going to be up here on the house and not with the ground level. So I ought to do some calculating and figuring. But it's going to be a nice sized shed. Let me take you inside and we'll have a look around. See, there's my 2 water tanks side by side. Looks like I can only get 2 more in that wall if I was to use them. So I'm definitely going to be using the 275 gallon totes. That's going to be the way to go. And then I can put 2 of them side by side, one over here and one over here. That'll be the way to go. So we're not supposed to get any heavy rain for a while yet, so I think I still have time to play around with this. I think I will put the rainwater collector on though in case I get some. I'll collect what comes down to use it. I can always drain it from one tank into another and use it. And I'm going to leave that little tank connected until after I'm done building this room. But I'm going to take a little break, drink something, and calculate how I'm going to put this front on, because it's going to be more of an open front, but having it, because it's going to be higher than the other side, is going to be interesting. see how I do this. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a beam or a post up, right? I'm going to cut a post here up to the height of the roof, and then have a load-bearing beam across, and I'll have a post in the middle here, so I can use some of that barnwood out there. I'm going to have help moving that though, because that is heavy, heavy wood. But I think that's about how I'm going to do it. I'm going to have a load-bearing beam in the middle and a couple barn posts to hold that roof up. Because like I said, this front wall will be open. If anything, I'll build a half wall just to here. That way I can still get in and out on the other half. So I might have a 5-foot wall and a 5-foot opening, and that'll be sufficient for anything I ever need to do. And it'll keep the sun off the anything I don't want to have the sun on when the porch will be here. Let me go back to my chair. The porch will be here, the greenhouse, letting the sun shine in to heat up the area and heat up the ground here by day. And then by night, that ground will be warm and radiate the heat back out into the room and into the porch. So that's my theory. And the earth is a heat sink. So it is a heat mass. And when you heat the earth during the day, it's going to hold that heat. Now I saw people in the comments talking about how the dirt is going to suck the heat out of my shed. But if the sun is beating down on that earth all day long, that earth is going to give that heat back up. And at night. And that's exactly how they do it when they have these heat storage, big heat sinks in the ground. What they do is they just have a big mass of concrete or cement or sand. Sand and water is the best. And they let the sun heat that up during the day, and then it stores all that heat underground. And at night, that heat is given back off. So that's my theory, that the ground is going to help here a lot. So anyway, I'm going to take a break, and we'll be back in a while.